It's time once again for the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit that bell on YouTube and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcasting app, whatever app that may be. Today, we're talking about forming new tag teams in the men's and women's division on a professional wrestling program. Now, that is a very long title, just so that I avoid saying WWE right at the start. But it's about WWE. So I was reading up on the formation of a new women's tag team of Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark, who have been kind of careening into each other and forming a relationship that could lead to them being a tag team. Now, both performers are coming off of other relationships with other women wrestlers, be it Ronda Rousey or Trish Stratus, respectively. But both of those things have now come and gone. They kind of were positioning Shayna to go on her own and kind of be the badass lady or whatever. But now it seems like they're going to pair her up with Zoey Stark and maybe do another mentor-mentee thing, or weird, two performers who, have so much potential. We should have gold or whatnot. I don't know. Who knows? But they've both gone for, obviously Zoey Stark turned on Trish Stratus, or I should say Trish turned on Zoey, and now she broke away. And she is now probably going to tag with Shayna. Who knows? Wrestling is a, amorphous thing. They might split them up in the next Raw. Who knows? But it got me thinking that the women's division on both Raw and SmackDown are a little slim. They have enough women to fill out the roster, but there just aren't enough women for the amount of tag teams you need to make the division viable. So what you end up getting is these kind of makeshift teams that, granted, Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler are kind of forming this team week over week. They haven't tagged yet, but they are helping each other out. So who knows? Who knows where this goes? But they're doing it at least the right way. They're not just showing up one day. Now they're a tag team. They're actually building some sort of story around it, which I appreciate. But it got me thinking, there is a real good opportunity, a real avenue for the women's division if we had some sort of like Alpha Academy women's tag team. So Maxine as the green wrestler, and then another woman to come in on Chad's level, right? Like a coach with Chad for Maxine, who is also an amateur wrestler, or someone like Shayna Baszler, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, which is mat work, to come in and take Maxine under her wing, and then have her take Chad's training to the next level, right? So you have a weekly show or weekly vignette where Maxine is learning under the guidance of Chad Gable and whoever this other amateur wrestler woman is. And they're forming this tag team, right? And I'm talking about really going deep on the build of this tag team, having ring psychology, ring awareness, understanding each other's moveset so that they can complement one another. I'm thinking specifically like showing them do something in the back and then going out there in the ring and then putting that into use. They did it beautifully with Maxine, where Chad was teaching her how to do the arm drag, and then she went into the ring and did the arm drag, and the entire crowd erupted. Oh my God, she did it. And then they, did it again with, what was it? I can't remember the move. It wasn't a kick or anything. It was something. She did another move. They did it for a couple of weeks, but my problem was they ended that story way too soon. There was so much potential to have Maxine go, like I said, go under this learning tree with Chad and kind of get her Alpha Academy certification, right? If you've ever heard of like a fitness training regimen, certification takes quite a while. You got to study, you got to, pass a test. She passed her test and was given, the Alpha Academy jacket, but she didn't learn enough for me to really believe she's going to be a wrestler. They could have gone a little further with that. But if we bring in another woman who can be sort of her guiding hand, who could say, look, I know what I'm doing and I want you to know what you're doing. So we're going to work with Chad and we're going to work with me and we're going to get you there. So they know how to show that story of teaching someone to wrestle and then going out there and wrestling. Now we have to get that same level of detail in building a tag team. Now, and this is what I'm thinking. You go into the back for a vignette and it's Alpha Academy and there's a big whiteboard. And Maxine is sitting there taking notes, and Chad Gable and this unnamed woman wrestler are doing a diagram, and they're saying, this is how we operate as a tag team. Here is the ring, and they draw like a square, and this is the ring, and then they cut it in half, and they're like, this is our side of the ring, and this is their side of the ring. We want to wrestle on this side of the ring. We don't want to cross into this red zone where they're able to tag. We want to keep them firmly on this side. And then, I will stand on this side of our turnbuckle, and Maxine, you'll stand on this side, and that's where we always stand. So we know where we are. I know what hand I'm going to tag, and then here are, our tag team moves. So then they go into a match, and then they show Maxine learn that, okay, I have to cut this ring in half. I'm going to drag my opponent back to my side, and then you see her new tag team partner exclaim, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Boom, tag team move together, debut of a tag team move together, have it not work, right? Have it fail, and then have the person scramble out and get a tag in, and then they go, okay, we'll reassess. Let's figure out why this move failed, and then build that story where they form this bond and they understand each other's movesets, and Maxine gets better, and the veteran gets better, and Chad is so, great, and everything, everything just sort of starts to click, and then you have this new women's tag team who can then operate as individuals. They come out and they support one another, and then when they tag together, they build a moveset that the fans can call, right? What is it? When football teams have a playbook that is very slim but effective, fans know what play is about to get called by the formations that they play, and people get excited. Oh, they're going to run the option. They're about to run the option, and then they run the option and it works. There is a simplistic, minimalistic joy in being able to call a move and then having it work. Like, to bring someone back up, Ronda Rousey's whole gimmick, for lack of a better term, in the UFC was that she was an arm bar specialist. Everything she did revolved around getting that arm. That was her whole deal. And everyone flippin' knew it. There was not a woman in that division that didn't know exactly what Ronda was going to do to come get that arm. And you know what happened? She got the arm every time, and she tapped him out. And everyone went bananas. And it became, the story became, can so-and-so defend against the armbar? And the answer was normally no, which made that person a specialist, right? Made Ronda a specialist, and it made her an attraction, because it was like, can you overcome this powerhouse? The same can be said for a tag team in the women's division. If we are invested in the story of their build, if we're invested in the story of their moveset, if we're invested in their rise and their fall, right? They have to lose. You have to get people behind them, but they have to lose in a manner that makes sense and that serves the story. If the story is Maxine is learning to wrestle with this veteran, and the failure is on their lack of synergy, and then you get a vignette in the back where they're like, all right, let's readjust, versus like, what happened out there? I can't believe, like, instead of coming at her with, vitriol, the person comes back as a mentor. Okay, let's readjust. I messed up here, you messed up there. Let's meet in the middle and figure out how to fix this. I think that women's tag team could be the ones to dominate the division, because the fans would be behind their story, their build, their eventual successes, and it would give some weight to the women's tag team division. Anyway, what do you think of this idea? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and tell a friend about the show. Thank you so much for listening, and don't you ever forget,
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah, yeah, yeah.